Welcome back, another video. I came and you are watching True Crime Documentary Series today. Again, many questions will be solved in today's video, so keep making it with me in today's video and in this series. Let's start the video.
He was the embodiment of pure evil, hiding behind a mask of charisma and normalcy. Ted Bundy, a name synonymous with terror, shocked the world with his horrific crimes. His ability to charm and manipulate those around him made his true nature even more terrifying. Bundy shattered the illusion of safety and left an indelible mark on the American psyche. His crimes were calculated acts of depravity, meticulously planned and executed. He preyed on young women, often luring them with his charm and good looks. His crimes were marked by a chilling brutality that sent shockwaves through communities. The nation watched in horror as the details of Bundy's crimes unfolded. His ability to evade capture for so long only added to his mystique. He became a phantom, a boogeyman who lurked in the shadows. Bundy's case transcended the typical serial killer narrative. He became a media sensation, his face plastered across newspapers and television screens. His crimes sparked a national conversation about violence against women. Born Theodore Robert Bundy in 1946, his early life was shrouded in a web of secrecy and family turmoil. Raised by his grandparents in Philadelphia, Bundy grew up believing his mother was his sister. This early deception, coupled with a lack of stable parental figures, may have contributed to his psychological development. Even as a child, there were red flags. Bundy exhibited disturbing behavior, including a fascination with knives and a tendency towards voyeurism. These early signs of a troubled mind hinted at the darkness that lay dormant within him. As a teenager, Bundy's introverted nature and social awkwardness became more pronounced. He struggled to fit in with his peers and often retreated into a world of fantasy and morbid curiosity. His interest in crime and violence grew, fueled by true crime magazines and detective novels. Despite a seemingly normal upbringing, Bundy harbored deep-seated insecurities and resentments. His troubled childhood, marked by instability and a lack of genuine connection, played a pivotal role in shaping the monster he would become. Bundy's transformation from an awkward young man to a cold-blooded killer was a gradual, insidious process. His early adulthood was marked by a series of failed relationships and academic setbacks, fueling his feelings of inadequacy and rage. After dropping out of college, Bundy drifted aimlessly, working odd jobs and struggling to find his place in the world. His inability to form meaningful connections with others further isolated him, pushing him further down a dark path. It was during this period that Bundy's criminal fantasies began to take shape. He became fixated on the idea of control and domination, seeking to exert power over others as a way to compensate for his own perceived shortcomings. Bundy's descent into madness was complete when he committed his first known murder in the early 1970s. This act of violence unleashed a torrent of depravity that would span several years and claim the lives of countless innocent victims. Despite his inner turmoil, Bundy was able to maintain a veneer of normalcy. He enrolled in law school, excelling in his studies and impressing his professors with his intelligence and charm. This ability to compartmentalize his life, separating his dark desires from his public persona, was a hallmark of his psychopathy. Bundy even engaged in seemingly normal relationships, dating women who were completely unaware of the monster hiding behind his charming facade. He was a master manipulator, using his charisma and intelligence to gain the trust of his victims. Psychologists who later studied Bundy's case concluded that he exhibited classic psychopathic traits. He lacked empathy, possessed a grandiose sense of self-worth, and was incapable of feeling remorse for his actions. His crimes were not fueled by passion or rage, but by a cold, calculated desire to exert power and control. Bundy's ability to blend in with society, to appear normal and even charming, made him all the more dangerous. He shattered the stereotype of the deranged killer, proving that evil can lurk behind the most unassuming of faces. Section 5. Unveiling the monster Bundy's modus operandi and early crimes. Bundy's crimes were as calculated as they were brutal. He often preyed on young women who resembled his first love, a college girlfriend who had broken his heart. This pattern of victim selection suggested a deep-seated need for revenge and a desire to punish women who reminded him of his past pain. He would often lure his victims by feigning injury or impersonating an authority figure. Bundy's disarming charm and seemingly harmless demeanor lulled his victims into a false sense of security, making them easy targets for his attacks. Once he had his victims isolated, Bundy would unleash his full fury. His crimes were characterized by extreme violence, often involving rape, torture, and mutilation. The level of brutality inflicted upon his victims shocked even seasoned investigators, revealing the true depths of his depravity. Bundy took trophies from his victims, often keeping jewelry or articles of clothing as mementos of his crimes. These gruesome souvenirs served as a reminder of his power and control, feeding his twisted desires. Section 6. Terror across state lines. The escalation of Bundy's crimes. As Bundy's confidence grew, so did the audacity of his crimes. He began traveling across state lines, expanding his hunting ground and leaving a trail of bodies in his wake. His ability to evade capture for so long only fueled his sense of invincibility. From Washington to Utah to Colorado, Bundy's reign of terror continued unabated. He became a phantom, appearing and disappearing at will, always one step ahead of the authorities. The national news was filled with reports of missing young women, their families clinging to hope as the body count continued to rise. Law enforcement agencies across the country were baffled by Bundy's ability to elude capture. His lack of a discernible pattern and his skill at blending in made him a ghost, a nightmare figure who haunted the dreams of young women everywhere. Bundy's crimes had a profound impact on the communities he terrorized. Fear and paranoia gripped the nation as parents kept their daughters close, and women lived in constant fear of becoming his next victim. Section 7. A Trail of Tears, the victims and their stories. Behind the headlines were the real victims of Bundy's crimes, young women whose lives were cut tragically short. Each victim had a name, a face, a story that deserved to be remembered. Linda Ann Healy, a bright student, vanished one night, leaving behind a blood-stained pillowcase. Donna Gail Manson disappeared on her way to a concert. Margaret Bowman, Denise Naslund, Karen Campbell, Melissa Smith, a heartbreaking list of names, a stark reminder of the human cost. Each victim represented a life filled with potential, a future stolen by a monster. Their stories remind us that behind every act of violence, real people suffer unimaginable loss. Section 8. Behind bars, but not for long. Bundy's arrests and daring escapes. Bundy's luck finally ran out in 1975 when he was arrested in Utah on suspicion of kidnapping. Despite mounting evidence against him, he maintained his innocence, his charm and charisma disarming even those who suspected his true nature. While awaiting trial, Bundy managed to escape from custody not once but twice. His daring escapes, once from a courthouse library and another from a county jail, made national headlines and turned him into a folk hero for some and a source of terror for many more. Bundy's escapes exposed flaws in the criminal justice system and highlighted the cunning and resourcefulness of a psychopathic mind. His ability to manipulate those around him, to gain their trust and exploit their weaknesses, allowed him to slip through the cracks of justice, prolonging his reign of terror. His time on the run was short-lived, however, as he was recaptured in Florida in 1978. This time, there would be no escape. The net was closing in, and Bundy would soon face the full weight of the law. Section 9. Justice. Finally, Bundy's trials and death sentence. Bundy's trials were media sensations, captivating the nation and bringing the horrors of his crimes into sharp focus. He relished the attention, often acting as his own attorney and using the courtroom as a stage to further his own twisted narrative. Despite his attempts to manipulate the legal system, the evidence against Bundy was overwhelming. Eyewitness accounts, physical evidence, and even Bundy's own words painted a damning picture of a cold-blooded killer. In 1979, Bundy was found guilty of multiple counts of murder and sentenced to death. The verdict brought a sense of relief to a nation terrorized for so long, but it did little to ease the pain of the victims' families. Bundy remained on death row for nearly a decade, during which time he granted numerous interviews and confessed to dozens of murders. His confessions provided some closure for families but also revealed the true extent of his depravity. Section 10. The Bundy Legacy: Interviews, Confessions, and the End of an Era. Bundy became an unlikely media darling, granting numerous interviews. He spoke with eerie calmness, revealing his lack of remorse. His confessions, often in the third person, shocked the nation. On January 24, 1989, Bundy was executed. His death marked the end of an era, closing a dark chapter in American history. Bundy's case profoundly impacted criminal profiling and forensic science. Section 11. The Enduring Shadow. Bundy's Impact on Society and Criminal Justice. Ted Bundy's crimes left an indelible mark on American society. His ability to charm and manipulate, coupled with the brutality of his crimes, shattered the illusion of safety and forced people to confront the reality that monsters can hide in plain sight. Bundy's case also had a profound impact on the criminal justice system. His ability to evade capture for so long exposed flaws in law enforcement procedures and led to improvements in interagency communication and information sharing. The development of criminal profiling, a relatively new field at the time, was heavily influenced by Bundy's case. The FBI's behavioral science unit used Bundy's crimes to develop profiles of other serial killers, helping law enforcement agencies better understand and apprehend these dangerous individuals. Bundy's case also highlighted the importance of forensic science in criminal investigations. The use of DNA evidence, which was in its infancy at the time of Bundy's trials, would later become a crucial tool in solving crimes and bringing perpetrators to justice.